Accessibility options are not cheat codes, okay? I understand there are people who are never going to accept this, but you guys have to get this through your head. Cheating is not an accessibility option. Cheating is not an accessibility option. If a game was designed to be played and beaten, and your answer to why can't I just because you used footage from another Crab's Treasure. It is God mode.
The elitist sneering and gatekeeping has become
Elitists? Elitism is when I see something I don't like and I say I'm not gonna buy it? What? If you believe it is a chump-like take to want to be smart about how I spend my money on my purchases, if you believe that that is an unreasonable statement, yeah, you probably have no argument here. You probably have no argument here, Jim. That's fucking dumb. That's dumb. Mush out these two videos from Jamantha Sterling, because they've had takes and they are bad. Let's start with disability, difficulty, and the discourse that lost the plot. Tell me, Jamantha, what's the word?
DLC that lets your Oh, hello everyone. It's me, Stephanie Sterling. I'm playing
I see. You're still calling it the Jimqusition, but you're still going by that name. No problem, Jamantha. It's okay. It's okay. You are true, honest, and valid. I like the Goldust phase more.
A story-driven game driven by a story, with battle settings designed to enable you, optionally, to just enjoy the story. I love it when story-driven games driven by a story let you just enjoy the story. I can't imagine, in fact, anybody being upset about that, because it makes sense and is very usual. Oh, for fuck's sake. The difficulty discourse is at it again. May our blindfolded gods have mercy on our souls.
You see, you say that and you're using a picture of Krill from another Crab's Treasure. That game has a difficulty that's based on you having to learn from the multiple deaths that are you. Your argument already started off shit. You said story-based games. Okay, cool. Story-based games. Story-based games like what? Can you give me some examples? Are you gonna give me some examples? Because you gave me a example here with the fucking thing you chose to use, and on top of using him incorrectly, you didn't really lay out an argument. You said, I hate when people have opinions.
You're being upset about that, because it makes sense, and it's very usual.
Like, this is not funny, and this is not an argument either. I like when people buy games that completely are for them and they're their target audience and there's no problems. Okay, cool. So, turn the video off. Stop recording this video, Jim. We're not gonna do that, are we? No, we're not. You want a mauled. Let's mauled. Let's mauled ball!
The difficulty discourse is at it again. May our blindfolded gods have mercy on our souls. Following the news that Dragon Age Vendelgart was getting a no-death accessibility mode, gamers began angrily declaring that they wouldn't be buying and playing the game anymore. Okay, if the idea of boycotting a game because some people you don't know could play it without dying if they wanted to sounds, I don't know, completely fucking weird, don't worry. Your intrepid reporter finally decided to seek answers from the gamers TM themselves. Exactly why is the existence of a very basic accessibility option that's technically been around as long as cheat codes have been a thing so offensive as to render the game unplayable? Well,
because a video game is meant to be played. It has a win condition, it has a win state, and if you are able to give people the ability to cheat, and you say it's been around since cheats, what was the condition to access the cheat menu so you could use those cheats? Did you have to beat the game on the base difficulty? I think you did. I think you had to beat the game on the base difficulty. Or you had to play through the mode and to earn the right to get the code without using a GameFAQs guide to already know it automatically. And even then, many of those games still required you to beat the game at least once in order for you to activate those cheats. Because back then, we used to have games that mock you for cheating. We used to have games that mock you for playing on lower difficulty. We used to have games that would mock you for playing on lower difficulty and would mock you for cheating and would punish you for doing so. Especially if you pirated a copy of the game. Let's start there.
When I asked why gamers couldn't just not use the no-def setting, I received this answer. I think you'll find that at long last, this explains everything.
I know I don't need to explain this. I know you already know this, but here goes. Indicators are a thing. If a game is released that has, for example, some DLC that lets your medieval knight have, let's say, a pointed white hood, or a 20th century German mustache enthusiast emblem, or Confederate flag capes, etc., etc., you wouldn't buy that game. You wouldn't just not download that DLC. You wouldn't go near that game. Why? Indicators. That one design choice is an indicator for the design philosophy of the game, and you wouldn't risk spending your hard-earned cash on something whose design philosophy is something you don't want to see in gaming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
What's that smell?
The difficulty discourse has officially...
So that was a legitimate answer, and you just said, "Oh, really? That's chatty of you." So, you want to eat a plate of shit, Samantha? Okay, no problem. Let me just go ahead and squat over the plate. No, you don't need to see it come out of my body. Just know that it's shit. I'm telling you beforehand. It's shit. Do you trust me? Do you believe you're going to be biting into a 5-layer beefy burrito? What an argumentational use of your words. You are truly capable. Oh Lord, this is gonna hurt. Oh, this is going to hurt. My brain is already...
The elitist sneering and gatekeeping has become
Elitists? Elitism is when I see something I don't like and I say, I'm not gonna buy it? What? Oh no. Oh, that's not an argument. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. I'm an elitist because I choose to curate the games I choose to play. You're right. Yes, absolutely. I am definitely elitist. Yes, sir. Yes, I am elitist. I am elitist. I believe that I will be elite. If not playing video games that I think are bad because I see markers for bad content creation, if that's what you consider to be chutty, if you believe it is a chut-like take to want to be smart about how I spend my money on my purchases, if you believe that that is an unreasonable statement, yeah, you probably have no argument here. You probably have no argument here, Jim. That's fucking dumb. That's dumb. Oh yeah, that's surely a thing that's normal and rational. Fucking Lord have mercy. Don't worry, I will fill you in. Don't you worry, I'll fill you in. So, we're rounding out with the moment of Zen. I have 2 videos from Jimantha, from Samantha Sterling of the Jimquisition, and well, let me just replay it for you. Let's just replay the argument from the top.
unplayable. The very basic accessibility option that's technically been around as long as cheat codes have been a thing, so offensive as to render the game unplayable. Well, when I asked why gamers couldn't just not use the no-def setting, I received this answer. I think you'll find that at long last, this explains everything.
I know I don't need to explain this. I know you already know this, but here goes. Indicators are a thing. If a game is released that has, for example, some DLC that lets your medieval knight have, let's say, a pointed white hood, or a 20th century German mustache enthusiast emblem, or Confederate flag capes, etc., etc., you wouldn't buy that game. You wouldn't just not download that DLC. You wouldn't go near that game. Why? Indicators. That one design choice is an indicator for the design philosophy of the game, and you wouldn't risk spending your hard-earned cash on something whose design philosophy is something you don't want to see in gaming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
What's that smell?
The difficulty discourse has officially turned everybody's brains into weird soup. The
elitists.
Sneering and gatekeeping has become altogether more vicious and less sensible as time has gone on, and of course it's now just another front in the twisted culture wars, giving a shit about it.
He said, I don't like it, so I'm not gonna buy it. He said, after you went trolling for answers that you could mock, you were given a reasonable answer that said, if I don't like it, I don't buy it. And you called them elitist. That's where we're at. That's where we're at, whore. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hoit. It's gonna hoit, boys. It's gonna hoit.
Disabled people is seen as another example of wokeism gone mad. Another zero-sum...
Okay, so you just put in disabled people when that had nothing to do with disability and it had everything to do with making the game easier? There is no difficulty for that. Are you saying that disabled players are so fucking bad that they can't be able to play the game? Wow, Jamantha, that is a very bad case of racism and bigotry. The soft bigotry of low expectations. They're disabled. They can't play any better.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up.
What's that smell?
The difficulty discourse has officially turned everybody's brains into weird soup. The elitist sneering and gatekeeping has become altogether more vicious and less sensible as time has gone on, and of course it's now just another front in the...
Accessibility options are not cheat codes. Okay? I understand there are people who are never going to accept this, but you guys have to get this through your head. Cheating is not an accessibility option. Cheating is not an accessibility option. If a game was designed to be played and beaten, and your answer to why can't I just because you used footage from another Crab's Treasure. You used the gun mod. It is God mode. It is a form of cheating. You are not struggling. You are not learning mechanics. You are not getting better at the game. You are being given a crutch tool. Use it as the argument to say, I don't care about the gameplay difficulty, I just want to play the game and experience it. You're not truly experiencing the game. You're experiencing a facsimile of the game. You're not truly playing anything. Because you are not actually playing in the condition in which you can be pressured and challenged and change and grow and become a better player. Ignoring mechanics, ignoring the details of what makes the systems possible, and then having the audacity to say, how dare you not play that game? You just hate poor people. You just hate disabled people. Is the soft bigotry of low expectations and horrible taste and horrible curtailing and horrible curating of your own standards. You cannot harass other people for having standards and you having no standards.
These people are having principled political stances about the mere existence of accessibility options. They need to hear how cunty they're being. The fuck is wrong with you? Do you think disabled access is something to take a principled stance against?
People are not amused.
It would be damn and bizarre if this uproar was about one of the usual hardcore gamer games, but Dragon Age Ventrilo isn't even a Souls-like. Dragon Age isn't known or celebrated for being difficult. It isn't known for requiring its players to get good. It's a BioWare game, an RPG regarded almost entirely for its story rather than its gameplay. I don't know.
So why does it have the ability for you to do that? Because if it's all about the story and the gameplay, then it means that the difficulty is superfluous. No, this is you trying to complain about something that many people have actually talked about being added to games that in some capacities are fair. This is literally the argument of Nocturne HD and Persona 5. It's being used the same way you're using it right now. You and other people are using it to justify your worldview. I don't care, Samantha. I do not care. Your worldview is shit. Your argument is shit. And it is shit not because you yourself are shit. It is shit because it is doing a lot of heavy lifting to assume and presuppose that it has to be like that for reasons that are left unexplained by you, because if you were to explain it, you'd sound exactly like the same people. They did not use Nazi iconography and an argument about Nazis to besmirch the idea of social justice and reviewing it by social justice means in video games. They used it as a case example to say, you wouldn't play a game that you think glorifies the Nazis, would you? Well, I don't want to play a game that I believe glorifies a personality type, a quirk, a trait, or a philosophy that I don't want to support, believe in, or give my money to. And you called them a fucking crybaby hypocrite. You mocked them for making a decision and choice to divest away from the decision. You are ably.
Know if I've ever seen people shit their diapers to this extreme degree over difficulty options in a BioWare RPG before, but if I have, it certainly hasn't been like this.
You stink like a dead dog. We can't stand it. I can't put my honeypoo through this.
As I say though, the difficulty discourse has finally turned people's brains into strange cheese, and the outrage is pure knee-jerk nonsense at this point. Very much like we discussed last week with the gamer's TM whining whenever a female character gets a redesign, the backlash isn't about specific scenarios anymore.
The problem isn't about redesigning the female characters, it's not about them choosing to give them a modern modern dating uplook. It is about them choosing to do things for the purposes of placating people who are acting like dual-handed, hypocritical, moral busybodies that say women should never be allowed to be looked like they're a piece of meat, and then you bitches fucking fawn over a man with his shirt off and go hubba 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 hubba. Be consistent. Be consistent. If you can't be consistent, be quiet.
and it triggers a nasty little tantrum, pure, unabashed reactionism. To cry foul over a story-driven game having a story-driven difficulty mode, to spunk blood in rage over those less able than you getting to enjoy the same toys you do, is to basically admit you just want players excluded for the sake of it. It is
And you want to use disabled people as a cudgel. If you cannot be consistent, be fucking quiet.
to admit that you are a cunt. You can censor that one.
Can, but won't.
Recently, online personality Alana Pierce found herself the focus of a witch hunt after Get Gooders decided to be pathetic little anuses about a comment she made that had been deliberately taken out of context and more or less lied.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Because we covered this. No, they didn't. Alana Zarazard had the audacity to say, I should have a pause button in Elden Ring because I have a kid. First off, now you're a single mom. Now you're a single mom. But more importantly, just fucking do your job. Just do your fucking job. Put the controller down.
About on social media, making the case for a pause button in games like Elden Ring, Alana used the concept of parenthood to help non-disabled people relate to disability and understand how prohibitive it can be to play an unpausable game.
Okay, so you understand that when you're saying that, she said having a kid can be a situational disability where accessibility is concerned? Do you understand that you don't have any world to compare this to? A person not having hands and Alana not being able to get their kid to behave are galaxies of difference. You fucking shit splinker. How dare you? Light bulb exploded next to me. How fucking dare you? Crazy!
If you believe the Get Gooders, however, what Alana did was demand Elden Ring be made easier because having kids is a disability. I don't know, maybe the game is...
No. That wouldn't be making the game easier. Elden Ring having a pause button would be giving you the ability to play at your leisure. And the problem with that is that you can't control that. So, knowing that it's just a game, put the controller down. Right? You can do that, right? It's just a game. You don't have to keep playing through your kid crying. You can go handle your child. You can go soothe their problems, pains, and tears. You can stop doing what you're doing. If you're so hooked into the video game that you can't stop what you're doing to address your kid, maybe you shouldn't be a parent. Let's start there. I'm not gonna be nice about this. I'll rip the fucking band-aid off. Because now I am a parent. Do you know how many times and how frequently I'm capable of stopping what I'm doing, pause button or no, to go deal with my kid? Especially if I've been assigned the role duty of ensuring that my wife can be able to do what she needs to do. Especially if she does not want me to do her laundry for her. She wants to do it herself because she feels that if I don't give her the ability to do things, that she feels useless. If she needs me to deal with him, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm stopping what I'm doing, and I'm addressing what my partner asked me to fucking do. Because that's my partner, and I love her, and I eat her like groceries, and I'm gonna do exactly what she asked me to do, because my job is to make her fucking life easier, the same way that her job is to make our lives and my life fucking easier. Because it's a partnership. It ain't hard, though. Here's a question, Alana. Where's your husband? Where's your boyfriend? Where's your baby daddy? Why are they not helping you with your kid? Let's start there. I said it and I don't give a shit. I said it and I don't give a shit. That's so fucking upsetting. That's such a bullshit argument. And the worst part is that you know better. You know better. You know not to use that fucking argument, but you still did it anyways. Cause they'll get the getters. And I hate every single person that turned that phrase into something that it's not. All you motherfuckers adapting fucking language that you don't even deserve to use because you don't even begin to understand what it's actually supposed to mean. The get gooders implies that people are going about just screaming, get good, get good, get good. And that you believe getting good is the same thing as, can you try to learn how to play the game and become capable of using the mechanics? Which, in and of your own argument, you believe is still chud-like. Can you please learn how to play the game you're playing? No, I'll play the game my way. Okay, but I'm not going to treat your opinion as though it deserves to be heard. Well, that's just you being bigoted and racist, is it? You said you don't care. And you don't care, therefore, your opinion can't be used for the matters of review. Because whatever it is that you have to talk about, it's not consistent. That's a completely fair position to take. But to you, that's get gooders. I wonder if you have the same opinion about single-player games that are turn-based. I wonder if you have the same opinion about MMORPGs online. Because that's very caring of you. Because, you know, we can't pause the internet. It'd be cool if I could. You know? Just stop playing League of Legends in the middle of a match and then return back to it after 2 hours. Make other people sit there as I decide, you know, I don't really feel like finishing the match right now. Because it'd be my right? That's what we're talking about, right? I'd get to have that right. Because you believe you have the right to control how other people play video games. And not only how they play them, but also the way in which they can be played. You believe that you can bully them into silence about it. Okay.
TM are right, and my reading of her words is wrong. Let's look at what she actually said, while also understanding and acknowledging that it's part of an entire half-hour video, and see what the most reasonable interpretation of her words is.
Or maybe you should just put the fucking context there and not bullshit around and try to fucking scrape over it by clip shipping. Because we already know what the full context is. I know exactly what's in the clip. But okay, lie to me. I dare you to.
For long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. It is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability.
Alana has been dogpiled and attacked for making what is actually a very reasonable statement if you are capable of reason. Now, Alana and I are not super close, but in the interest of disclosure, I do consider her a friend. I've known her for a long time, and I've seen a lot of women hating chuds
She won't fuck you! She will not fuck you, Samantha! Samantha! Why are you simping? Why are you simping for the Santa Monica writer?
Fortunately, dogpile on her for having relatively uncontroversial opinions, like the fucking fiend she is. And my god, people really threw their dignity out the fucking window to be upset about this one. One of the most popular performatively outraged responses said it was the worst Elden Ring take they've ever seen. A response that was itself a far worse Elden Ring take. If thinking it'd be nice to be able to pause Elden Ring is one of the worst opinions about Elden Ring you've ever heard, I might be able to interest you in this fabulous new thing called the internet. Because clearly you've never fucking been on it before.
I mean, you could just try to, you know, play a different game if you don't like that. If that's a deal breaker for you, don't buy Elden Ring. Seriously. If you cannot be able to deal with the fact that the game doesn't have a pause button, don't play Elden Ring. There was a long time ago where Don't Starve Together prided itself on the fact that it didn't have a pause button for the online version of Don't Starve Together. But the original Don't Starve did have one because it was a single-player game. With or without the ability to pause it. We're not talking about the same thing, bro. She's making an argument of something that is absurd in and of itself, because by all rational logic, you would just put the fucking controller down and do your job as a parent. Nothing else would matter in that moment. Because what parent's gonna be like, God damn it, Tyler, didn't I tell you to stop doing that? Don't make me have to come in there and have to pause my fucking video game. I can't even pause this game. You know that I can't do it. And that leads to you beating the shit out of your kid because the kid can't behave well. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
I kinda don't want to debate the actual core of the argument here because it, I don't know, feels pointless almost. The difficulty discourse is so poisoned by bad faith arguments and now bizarre political conflation.
So then, you should not be talking about it whatsoever, and you should shut your bitch ass up. So shut your bitch ass up!
But honestly, most of it's beneath me. Bear in mind, I'm one of the original veterans of the difficulty discourse wars.
Okay, so shut your bitch ass up! Why are we here?
Because at that time I said I wouldn't mind if Dark Souls had an easy mode, and then for 10 fucking years, Git Gooders screamed at me claiming that I was demanding From Software go casual. I learned a long time ago that trying to be reasonable with these people is a waste of time. It doesn't matter what words you use, because they've already decided which ones they're going to stuff in your mouth for you. That said, when it comes to a pause button, I actually am going to get...
But you're literally doing that right now. This is exactly what Upper Echelon was describing. All of you are fucking obnoxious, and you need to shut up. We're tired of hearing it, dude. This is not real. None of these things are real arguments. Because they're not being made reasonably. To start. First off, the people who have misappropriated the use of Get Good because they want to mock other people and fucking do their own crip walk dance and make fun of people for being, quote, bad at video games, they're the kind of people who were getting dog-washed by people like me. And even if I were to say Get Good, there's a nice way I could say it. But I'd still be looking at you being like, hey bro, looks like you're fucking struggling. Man, that really sucks. You know, you could always take your time with the game and learn the mechanics instead of trying to force yourself to do it. I don't care about that, I want to play the game. I mean, you, by all means, play the game, but you know, you're dying every 30 seconds. Don't you think you should take a little bit of time and, you know, learn the mechanics? I play at my own speed. Just stop lecturing me. I'm just trying to give you suggestions, bro, but hey, it's your choice. I can say it aggressively. I could say lose by yourself, bro, your dog shit, bro, your ass. But what are we talking about? What are we talking about, Samantha? Samantha. It's pointless, Samantha. It's pointless and we're going in a circle, Samantha.
Pushy. Because the inability to pause an offline game is stupid. And to clarify, I meant when playing a game like Elden Ring offline, I know you can have it online. Taking one of the most fundamentally basic, foundational functions out of a game for no other sake than to do it is honestly bloody clown shoes.
So, here's an example. Fun fact. I see you sneaking up on me. So, fun fact. Did you know that when you are doing the fight against in Hades 2, did you know that when you're taking the fight against Kronos, he removes your ability to pause the game? If you don't believe me, I'll show you.
No. You do not control the flow of time. Not here. Are you enjoying this? Cease this and fight. No.
Suppress the ability for Kronos to prevent you from pausing during a confrontation. A literal incantation that you need to summon as part of your build when you set up your incantations before a run in Hades 2. By your argument there, Jamantha, does that mean the designers and creators of Hades 2 are chud-like and their arguments don't matter and they're just hateful and bigoted and they hate fucking disabled people? Despite all the accessibility features that exist between both Hades 1 and Hades 2. Is that the argument that you're making? Because that's the argument you're making.
I love Elden Ring. It's truly one of the greatest games ever made. An achievement of open world design and a landmark triumph of games that let you shoot lasers from your eyes. But the lack of a pause button when playing solo is not just exclusionary, it's archaic, outmoded, and an inelegant holdover from its online features. The fact so many Souls-likes have normalized unpausable gameplay as an integral part of the genre is honestly disappointing, because to me it displays a lack of good ideas. It certainly says you're just following a blueprint without fucking thinking for yourself. Any developer who would disable such basic functionality as pausing because they think it increases the difficulty somehow is being, well, fucking bad at game design, because that's...
Hades 2 is bad at game design. Print it, ship it, pack it, fuck it!
Such a crude, unimaginative, cheaply contrived way of doing it. I mean, as a dev, you could spend time crafting enemies with strategic AI and challenging attack patterns. You could design an intricate map with well-hidden traps. You could come up with thoughtful puzzles. Or you could disable basic functionality and hope that your players get killed because they had to answer their front door in the middle of a fight. That's not a balanced challenge. That's a game's balance trying to steal your front door's valor. A game's difficult...
You hear that, Hades 2? The god of time shouldn't have the ability to stop you from pausing the game. Because, you know, he's just a character. Why would we ever allow people to have such unique concepts and thoughts and patterns? Don't you know that that's a cheap way to remake shit? Stupid arguments. Stupid arguments. Stupid arguments. Stupid arguments. Stupid arguments. Stupid arguments. You don't understand game design. You don't understand game design. You don't understand creativity. Please stop talking.
Difficulty shouldn't be decided by when the FedEx guy turns up. Oh, I've almost beaten the orphan of course. I hope my phone rings right now to make the game more fun, said literally fucking nobody. It doesn't add to it. Being unable to pause a game literally adds nothing. It's taking away one of the most rudimentary functions a game can have. People really need to learn the difference between challenge and inconvenience. Even at its least shitty, robbing a player of the ability to pause is a gross inconvenience. I've never played a game and thought I'd be having more fun if I couldn't press pause. But then again, I respect my own time. I reject the idea that...
I can't consider the idea of having more fun because I can't pause the game. Boss, that is the final boss of a run. I just want to be able to prepare myself before it. No. We fight now. Put your hands up. I have to be engaged in what I'm doing? That's not fair. That's bad game design. You're a bad game. I can almost promise you, the character does not care. The character does not care, Jamantha. He doesn't. He has hands. He wants you to meet him.
that the pause button even belongs in a discussion about difficulty in the first place. Being unable to pause to deal with real life is not a puzzle, it is not combat, it is not anything approaching an in-game challenge for a player to overcome. It's a game taking advantage of your real life circumstances. Like a little bitch. You can't get good at having no responsibilities, at not having your door knocked on, at not needing to take a fucking piss. Sorry gamers, but having no life is not a skill. Even leaving aside disability for a moment, just having a number of reasonable adult responsibilities, children included, makes an unpausable game not difficult, but patently fucking unfair. It's downright cheap. Fake difficulty. You can't pause real life. The least you should be able to do is pause your fucking games. And circling back around, being unable to pause a game can indeed be horribly prohibitive to people with disabilities. Whether it's a chronic pain sufferer who can't tell when they're about to have a literally disabling flare-up, or someone with challenges using the bathroom, or any other number of concerns, being able to just hold on 10 minutes until a fight is done, or you can find a safe place to hide, is a privilege that many people just do not have. This is one of those situations where the people loudly protesting against something are people who aren't affected by the situation one way or another. A lot of folks act.
So why don't you just turn the fucking game off, bro? Oh, I gotta take a shit. Just turn the game off. Save. Turn the game off. This is not a real problem. This is very much the case of first world problems. Because you know who can't pause life? The third and second world rape victim who's getting beaten inside the state of the caliphate. They wish they had the privilege to play video games, bro. They wish they had the privilege to wear clothes. But yes, your problems are so bad. They're so horrible, bro. They're so horrible. It's so bad to be you. Oh, a blue, 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 blue. A blue, 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 blue. A blue, a blue, a blue, 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 a blue, a blue, a blue, a blue.
Acting like they have a dog in this race seem to be able-bodied nerds who clearly don't have a lot of real-life responsibilities and concerns because they're spending all their time getting upset at someone wanting to pause a computer game. Basically, the only people who...
That's crazy that you think the people who are making those arguments are able-bodied. When some of the best fucking people who have played the fucking games have been disabled and paraplegic. That's crazy you made that assumption. But of course, that would be somebody allowing me to use the disabled as a cudgel. We've all had this problem, and we've all gotten tired of the discourse because you try to claim that any example in legitimacy that pushes against you is just people using disabled people. But then you use disabled people, you use moms, you use any kind of victim you can to justify your hateful worldview. It's so fucking dumb. Just be done with it. Just say you don't like gamers and stop reviewing video games, please.
Want this kind of quote-unquote difficulty are those who literally aren't affected by it. What they really want isn't the difficulty, they just want to exclude people for the sake of excluding them. It's mean-spirited, it's gatekeeping, and the most petty and pathetic...
How can I exclude you from a single-player game, bro? Get filtered! Get filtered! Get filtered! You're getting filtered by the inability to pause, bro. And assuming that the game has the ability to be modded, just mod in the ability to pause the game. Problem solved. Helpless. Learned helplessness.
Kind, it's privilege distilled. And another thing, I am disabled. I have several disabilities, my most publicised one being the herniated disc in my spine, which I've had to live with since 2016.
Yeah, the second most well-known one is the cancer tumor that's pressing on your Vogon nerve.
I have also helped to raise children ever since I was a child myself. At the time of writing this exact line in the script...
You are not a parent. I refuse to believe you have kids. I believe you helped raise other people's kids, and I then question why they let you around kids. But you are not a parent. Yo, you don't get to use that argument. Shut that shit up. Shut that shit up.
8-year-old just tripped over a dog next to me and is now yelling over my head to his granddad about wanting some new ugly toy or other. That is to say, I have extensive experience with disability and extensive experience of caregiving, so I do consider myself reasonably qualified to say the following. If you're mocking the rhetorical relation between childcare and disability, shut the fuck up, fuck the fuck off, and sit the fuck down when you get there. Remember again, because this lead has been consistently buried, nobody is saying that having children is the exact same thing as a physical or mental disability. In fact, Alana was using...
But you tried to compare them, and that is definitely what she tried to do. You are adding this chart that they were trying to explain. She didn't try to express that thought, and if she did it poorly. She failed to communicate as a communicator, which is wild because she's a writer for Sony Santa Monica. She should know how to be able to write better, and she should know how to be a more effective communicator. And yet, despite that language from the Microsoft Divine Form, it still came off pretentious, because reality would prevail. You know what reality would tell you to do? Oh shit, Benjamin's crying? Get him out of the room. It's all the problem. But I'm in the middle of a game. Be a parent, put the fucking controller down! God damn, Samantha. God damn, Samantha.
Microsoft's own designation when calling it a situational disability, as in your ability to do something is reduced by the situation around you. And in this case, bringing up children as a situational disability helps to give an approximate idea of what living with other forms of disability is like. To live with challenges you just can't choose to not have, that impact everything you do in your day-to-day life. And honestly, good analogy. As good a one as you can get. There is nothing I could say that would get a non-chronic pain sufferer to understand what it's like to suffer with chronic pain. Trust me, if you haven't lived with physical pain, intense amounts of physical pain, every waking moment for years,
You don't need to live with chronic physical pain in order to understand what it's like to live with chronic physical pain. All I gotta do is hold you by your leg until you get a Charlie horse, and then consistently kick your shin. That's what it's like to live with constant chronic pain. You get used to it. It dulls itself out. You keep ibuprofen in the couch. You keep a goodie powder in your wallet. And you have at least a 1,000 capsule bottle of aspirin by the sink. That's what it looks like. Ain't hard to understand. And whoever lied and said that it is, ha ha ha. Stop the cap.
you do not understand. You simply do not understand. And no, having kids is absolutely not the same thing. But honey, I will take whatever rhetorical device I can get to at least help get someone in the mental ballpark. Children have...
Okay, so you'll take any rhetorical device that you can get to get them in the mental ballpark. Imagine if you could, then, that the example that you want to use is bad, and I will offer you a different one to use. Instead of saying having a kid is a disability that stops me from being able to play the game, use a language barrier. The language barrier of what the game was originally coded in is extremely hard for me to wrap my head around so I can be able to properly play the video game I'm playing. I actively have to think about and guess at what these words and these actions and this behavior is from the game, because I can't tell if the game is very well made or if I'm just retarded and are failing and struggling to deal with it. This allows you to now understand that that is the actual framework of what you need to start from, not how dare you criticize the fact this game doesn't have a pause button, or how dare you criticize that a person has the ability to buy a usually paid for journalist mode. That's something that you can't be judged for. You cannot be judged because you have to learn another language in order to play a game. But, you know, if you're actively doing it, and it's not something that's a problem of a localization issue, I then have to ask, what exactly it is that you're mad about? Because if you're mad that you don't have options, make the developer know you have options. They will provide them. And if it's not that problem, if it isn't a problem of difficulty or accessibility, then we are talking philosophy. And your philosophy is shit. So I don't care. That's what you would start from. That's where you want to get people in the ballpark to understand it. I'm not gonna judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. If a person is a world champion Dance Dance Revolution player, but they're amputated both legs, I have to now wonder, does this motherfucker do a spin when he's doing a handstand, when he's playing upside down, or what? Because that's the context. Nobody's doing something to the equivalent of mocking players for not having legs so they can use the dance pad of DDR. What they're doing is they're criticizing, and they're mocking, and they're telling you to get filtered by the fact that you think a pause button not being present is equivalent to people basically trying to stop other people from playing a video game, which they're not. It literally just is get filtered like 50 times. Like, that's what I should be saying right now. If my legs didn't feel like jelly, being like, get filtered, 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 get filtered. Like, I disco dance party at Jamantha right now. But, like, that's unnecessary, because we know Jamantha's takes are going to be fucking horrible. But that's insulting to every single person it's involved with. Because that's insulting to the parents, that's insulting to kids, that's insulting to victims, that's insulting to the disabled, it's insulting to normal able-bodied players, and it's an insult about yourself. Because you just told us how you feel about minorities, ironically. You unironically just told us how you feel about minorities. Garbage takes. Why do I do it to myself?
many needs that end up taking precedence over and often can eat into your leisure time. They are an external force that you can at best manage but can't ever fully control. They stop you being able to do many things that those without them can. They get in the way, a lot. They are a constant factor in your life that impacts everything you choose to do and often take away the choices you do try and make. Speaking as someone who has to weigh going out to see my friends against the agonizing physical pain I'll be putting my body through to do it, I can say with 100% confidence that the analogy works. The choice between doing what you like and the cost of doing so. The disruption to your best laid plans. The unpredictable and tenuous nature of your free time. The knowledge that such time is borrowed. Disability and parenthood are different games, ain't nobody saying otherwise. But the mechanics act in very much the same way. A lot of the restrictions are exactly the same. Not that many of the people acting outraged.
This is not a game. We're talking about life. How dare you use the Brains Brothers to try to staple your point. Video games are games. Parenthood is not a game. Disabilities and you living with them are not games. Stop trying to mix your metaphors. That's why they don't work. That's why you're a dick. All you gotta do is be realistic. But not once so far have you been realistic on this topic. Okay.
Over this discussion seem to be disabled or have kids. It seems instead like what the difficulty discourse often seems like. A bunch of people without the lived experiences they're confidently opining on, screaming over the voices of those who actually know what they're talking about.
I know what I'm actually talking about. Shut your bitch ass up. I know what I'm talking about in both capacities. Shut your bitch ass up.
Games are made for everyone, and that's okay. Words to this effect have become something of a catchphrase among the Get Good crowd. It's a nice little catch-all justification for excluding people, but I find it's rarely an attitude they consistently apply. I mean, the rage over Dragon Age Viddle Griddle having an optional option for people who aren't them demonstrates exactly how not okay they think it is when something's not been made for them. And that's really what it's all about, because these
Then here's a question. Why? Watch what they do next. Do they buy it? And then do they complain about what's in the game after they've already made their opinion clear that they think the game is subpar? If so, mock them. There you go, problem solved. You get to scream at how they're not good. But I ask you, I beg you, does that feel right? Do you feel like you've won something? I hope you do. Because I know we did win shit. Because I know we didn't win shit. There's nothing to win.
aggressive, exclusionary fuckers just want to be exclusively pandered to, and they want that pandering to come at the specific expense of anyone who isn't exactly like them. When you're so fucking selfish that you're complaining about optional disabled access, you have lost any right to pretend that you don't just hate people who are different and actively want them to be excluded for those differences. Just admit it, you intellectual cowards. Admit your ableist little shits. I still remember the angry reactions gamers had when sign language was introduced to Forza. Yes, anger. Over the inclusion of sign language. How selfish, how petty, how malicious, how fucking tiny do you have to be to get angry that deaf people can enjoy a video game a little bit better? You're like those old boomer fuckers who sneer at disabled parking spaces. No wait, you're somehow even smaller than that. At least a good parking space is something you could envy in a myopic, thoughtless, self-centered sense. What's there to be jealous of when a disabled person simply gets to play the exact same game as you? It's not just a low-stakes problem, you're having a very genuine zero-stakes one. This ain't even your circus. Stop shooting other people's monkeys. Growing up in England...
Here's the problem with that argument. If they're playing the game, they're playing the game. But they would be playing the game off of social media. They would not be projecting their viewpoints to try and implore how they're right. They'd just be playing the video game. So you're already starting off from an illogical basis. So then, from that same illogical basis, you want to control the narrative and insist that they are hateful and bigoted and just want to exclude people. For the crime of the disabled player just trying to play the game normally. While you are being exclusionary to everyone, including that disabled player. At what point do you start looking inwards and say to yourself, I can't do this anymore? It's ridiculously stupid. And again, get filtered. Because if they're playing the game to play the game, they're going to play the game, they're not going to brag about their fucking experience on social media to look for attention, and they're not going to put themselves at the victim potential of other people commenting on what they're doing. fucking legs. I'm sitting here grimacing in pain. And I don't know if it's because my fucking muscle spasm is happening, or if it's because I've been physically poisoned with the cringe of fucking Jim's argument. Oh.
I got to see the disgusting way disabled people are regarded here. This is a horribly ableist country where a right-wing press constantly whips up mistrust of us, and a welfare system is designed more to catch us out as freeloaders than actually provide the assistance we need. We're treated automatically like inconveniences at best and malingerers at worst, and I'm honestly so fucking tired of it. I'm sure as shit not even gonna pretend to take seriously a bunch of gatekeeping nerds tugging on their little plotters and crying because we're allowed to play some computer games. I'm so fucking tired of you spoiled little brats. I hope you all run out of games to play because each one got too woke for you, and you feel universally excluded for no other reason than the mere concept of inclusion offended you. You're the only ones who deserve to feel excluded at this point, not least for the fact that you're literally doing it to yourselves.
So, you do understand that if they're not the ones designing the video games, that they can't possibly be doing it to themselves, right? You understand that? You parse that logic? Because if they're doing it to themselves, that means they have other games they can play. And there are plenty of different games to play. But that's probably not what they want to play. And from there, all problems lead inexorably back to the problem, don't you think? You want them to listen to you, but you're not willing to listen to them. So why would they be willing to listen to you? Kind of ridiculous, Jim. Let's see your other stupid take.
Lesbians.
Well, I don't know about them.
Lesbians.
Well, I don't know about them.
This one here is fake gamers and their DEI obsession.
Forced diversity. Now, that's a term I've heard a lot in the past 10 years, and especially in the past few weeks. Now, when the anti-woke set trot that out, not only is it an incredibly stupid criticism, it's also one of the most cowardly that they could use. You see, I had
Why is that? Do you have an argument?
that term being applied to literally any form of diversity, from the most pronounced centre stage representation to a little side character who happens to be part of a marginalised demographic, or pronouns in a drop-down list, or a little tiny pride flag waving in a massive open world Spider-Man game.
Homosexuals.
And the question I have is this: if any amount of diversity is too much diversity, why do you need the word forced in there? Why do you need that qualification? Is it because anyone who's reasonable would find you incredibly intolerant if you simply said you didn't like a minor bit of diversity in a game?
That's not what it means, and that's why the word forced is there. If every single person in a particular area in a land that is based in Scandinavia are all white, Gaelic, Celtic, and Scottish, what is the likelihood of the explanation of a black immigrant who doesn't share the dialect or the tone of the region being in a story? If there isn't a reasonable explanation given by the writers in story, it means it was forced. It was done to create a parallel. Fucking Christ. Oh, my legs.
And all I have to say to that is I think I respect people that just use slurs against me more than people who use the term forced diversity, because at least there's an honesty to that, you know? I'm not saying I'm the bravest girl in the world, but when it comes to that lot, no matter how much I fem up, I'm always going to have bigger balls than them. I'll say this for the pronoun police who make their purchasing decisions based solely on whether something is woke or not. They've actually stumbled onto a win recently. Now, while it's true that they gleefully bought a distinctly mediocre and already forgotten Hogwarts game just to stick it to the transes, and they pledged to
Just stick it to the transes, not to just have fun playing a Hogwarts game because there hadn't been a Hogwarts game that was licensed by WB in years. No. They did it specifically to harass the trans community! As the trans community harassed everybody on Twitch! Even the liberals! Trying to spoil the game because you were spiteful! You are the innocent victim. Our hero.
to buy an actual asset flip in Stray Souls as soon as they found out the director was a fascist twat. I've got to admit, after years of hypocritically political consumerism, the pretend-day politicals actually have a good game to rally around. By all accounts, Black Myth Wukong is rock-solid stuff. They can finally put down hatred and the other sub-mundane software they narrowed.
Nobody ever defended hatred. Hatred was created for shock value. Why did you bring that up in this argument? Your argument is now even more invalid than it already was.
They're gaming down to, after swearing off anything with a tiny hint of progressiveness. Yes, it's been decided because
They weren't swearing off anything with a hint of progressiveness. They were rejecting games, not buying games, and then criticizing and then mocking games if they were smart. By simply looking at what they had and then looking at the material and saying, yeah, is this something I could get into? And if they couldn't, they didn't support it. Or they got to a point where they were like, this isn't worth what I want to do. And they just simply went to another game and took the equipment with them. It's what really happened. Like, the majority of the industry's been hollowed out from the inside to make space for all this mutant flesh that pours out of people like a polar vortex. Okay?
Because of some reasons, the Black Myth Wukong is antithetical to everything them no-good SJWs stand for. Now, are they going to be normal about having a good game to play? Or no, they're not going to be normal and just enjoy having a good game to play, are they?
You keep using that royal we and that royal they again. Y'all are not like us. You're not us. You're not me. I'm not them. Stop with the fucking grandiose blanket statements. And you might get somewhere with communication.
Well, I say they have a good game to play. Are they actually playing it, though? Or have they simply hijacked all discussion about it to such an overshadowing degree that if I were the developer, I'd feel both insulted and disappointed that any discussion about its merits as a game has become all but buried? Let's just call...
It depends. There are a lot of people who are playing it and doing both things at the same time. And I'm sure you're not going to platform them because that would be giving them clout. You can't let them get popular off of your channel. But at the same time, what are you currently engaged in right now?
That the Stellar Blade effect. For a long time now, I've categorized the regressive chudsticks who whine about so-called wokeness in video games as the gamers, TM with a capital G. It's a popular term used online to differentiate normal people who play games, aka gamers, from the terminally online strangelings who are so mentally frail they literally cannot handle seeing the word they followed by a slash into them. Lately, however, I've come to realize that separating these columns into gamers and capital G gamers might be giving the latter entirely too much credit. They are, after all, spending entire days on the internet whining about seeing a black woman in a game one time. I never hear about them, you know,
Can you show me some examples as you accuse people of these things?
playing the video games they claim to be protecting from SJWs, wokeness, and their latest attempt at repackaging the one subject they incessantly bang on about, DEI. That stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, by the way.
Say his name. His name is Fruitus Rambo. He is not this. Have it out with him all you fucking want. I don't care.
A fairly basic concept that hinged people traditionally find quite reasonable. Anyway, after seeing how these diversity theory imbeciles have acted in the wake of Black Myth Wukong's release, I'm convinced that if they game at all, it's not to enjoy what they're playing. All entertainment is viewed through the lens of a culture war that's become their entire identity. They don't play games for themselves, they play games at other people. And again, that's if they play at all. Alleged fans of Black Myth Wukong have spent most of the past week harassing and lying about an IGN writer for daring to report on the developer's, let's say, spicy attitudes towards women a few months ago. From accusing her of lying in her original report to literally making up things she said to acting like she made her social media private to hide from them when she's always been private. Though what would it say about the angry mob if that were true? These people have been slobbering all over their own unearned...
If she was always a private account, how would they be able to talk to her? Lying. Oh my god, stop lying, 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 stop lying. Because you can't act as a journalist and then have your account privated and attempt to say it's because I want to control how I do things. No. Your writing has the ability to affect the world. You don't get the ability to say, I'm a private person. I don't want to be stalked and harassed by the subject matter. Get out of the field! Stop doing the work! Or, take more care with the shit that you're saying, and just, oh, fucking God. My fucking God, oh my God. Oh my God, you guys are not fit for the job. You're not fit for the job. You're not fit for the job. Hello, Fatal. Fucking Christ!
Social media private to hide from them when she's always been private. Though what would it say about the angry mob if that were true? These people have been slobbering all over their own unearned self-righteousness. Ironic that they called her legit reporting of facts a hit piece when the grossly irresponsible character assassination going on is aimed at the author. They are not gamers.
You tried to label them as roving misogynists that hated women when they made a bunch of raunchy inside jokes. And then you consistently used a hit piece to try to justify destroying the view numbers and the ratings of these games on Metacritic, knowing for a fact that these kinds of scores are what then control further opportunities, both for the developers, the writers, and the actors, to then be recognized for their talents and efforts in the work, because you have intentionally poisoned the well of information against the project by speaking on the matter as you are and have. You are horrible people. Ow.
They're not even capital G gamers TM. They're nothing more than the attack dogs of right-wing grifters who've manipulated them into believing such stupid garbage as Dragon Age Veilguard, erasing straight people. I did see one very apt word for them. They're not gamers. They're tourists. They are outraged tourists.
No, you guys are tourists. they at least have the ability of being a part of an in-group that is insular unto themselves and their particular worldview. Should they be the kind of people that act differently from myself, you, and anyone else that could be a fucking consumer hobbyist that plays video games? But you guys are tourists. You are jumping onto topics the same way they're jumping onto topics. They, in this case, is Caritas, Rambo, and Kern, because you can't say the fucking names. You are being tourists the same way they are being tourists. Because Rambo's problem is he wants to talk about shit that he has no context to, and is only choosing to get involved in because he actually likes to do the same kind of harassment that you game journalists do. He's harassing the companies the same way you harass the consumer. And then in Kern's case, he jumps onto topics, and he makes it about something it's never been about, and then insists on using that as a way to say, yes, I'm fighting the good fight. And it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a prank that gets played on people. And we're all tired of the joke. We don't want to see the prestige no more. Drop that curtain one more time.
Oh, and don't worry, we'll get to the mass diaper filling that's occurred over Dragon Age. Oh, I've got my own term for these online roaming pack hunters. And no, it's not just I like to call them fandom appropriators. I've not seen any of them share their actual opinions on Black Myth's gameplay. I've not seen them talk about their enjoyment of it. I've seen them only tout the game's success as a win for their side of a dumbass war and form up to attack anybody they perceive as the enemy. That's all I keep fucking hearing about this game. I have heard about this game all bloody week, and I couldn't tell you.
If that's all you've been hearing, then it means that you need to start changing the places you're getting your information from. Period.
Anyone I've seen talking about it actually bloody thinks of the thing. Is it good? Someone just tell me, is Black Myth Wukong good? Because I've got it downloaded, but I figured I wouldn't like
It is.
it because it's mostly boss fights. Is that true?
If you don't want to play the game to learn if it's good, why are you asking other people if it's good? Why did you buy it before you asked those questions? Side eye. Bombastic side eye.
I don't even know what's true anymore. I think I read that once before any talk about the actual game got fucking crushed under an avalanche of shit. Speaking of questions, I'm compelled to ask the same question I ask whenever I'm harassed day and night by computer game white knights when I publish a review with a quote-unquote controversial score. If the game you're talking about is so freaking good, why aren't you playing it instead of wasting hours of your time online harassing a complete stranger who doesn't matter? Wukong must—
You know, some people could probably do both things at the same time. I digress.
be a fucking shit game. If libeling an ultimately benign IGN writer is eating into your playtime, stop acting like you're the real gamers here. You know what real gamers are doing? They're spending their spare time playing games, not throwing very literal temper tantrums over a game letting you pick your fucking pronouns like you—
In other words, shut up. Don't have an argument. Don't voice your opinion. You voicing your opinion is a problem for me. How dare you voice your opinion? If you voice your opinion, I can't be able to silence you. Joke. Utter joke. An utter joke.
You know what I'll be doing after I post this video? Probably playing Black Myth Wukong, because it's more interesting than what some of you are doing right now, which is calling me a man in the comments of an increasingly irrelevant YouTube channel, because that's the kind of low-stakes, low-hanging nonsense you care about.
These guys are creep.
Okay, so you're admitting you're irrelevant? Good thing to know. Good thing to know. Good thing to know. But if you're gonna keep pretending that your opinion matters more than it does, keep in mind you call yourself irrelevant.
And yes, just weird as hell.
Actually, I might skip Wukong and replay the demo of Gory Cuddly Carnage. Have you seen that shit? I tried the demo with very tempered expectations and came away fucking stunned. It's the most early 2000s shit I've played since the literal early 2000s, and I've become obsessed with it. It's like a Maso Tony Hawk Fur Fighters met Metal Arm's glitch in the system by way of a psychedelic fucking nightmare. I think I'm in love.
That was the sentence.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
I guarantee you it's the best game about a cat using its sentient skateboard to dismember killer unicorns you'll play this year. You can quote me on that.
I'm sorry, but I have quite strong views on that sort of caper.
Anyway, the response from the online hunting packs to Dragon Age Veilguard's queer representation is not only goddamn hilarious, but incredibly telling as well. Before we get to what a self-report their outrage is, let's sample some of it, shall we? Twitter, formerly ex-user Arkstan, has been sharing a terrible load of commentary from the Game Steam forums. Content warning ahead for extreme amounts of even more extreme stupidity. This is a no-buy from me. This feels like Star Wars Acolytes or the Marvels. Absolutely shoehorned agenda and propaganda. Gameplay and old Dragon Age fans are not their target audience. So I am out. Yeah, remember what this pod said about target audiences. It'll be important for later. Extremely well game director. I hope this game doesn't DEI LGBTQ itself to death. Finn. I like this one because the right included the T in the Q. So we will about the stupidity of the sentiment, at least they're not tough.
We're the white minutes. I think I saw one in the entire trailer.
Well, now you know how non-white men have felt watching game trailers for most of the medium's entire existence, don't you? They made Morrigan ugly. Why? Why are they doing this? Yo, BioWare devs, why can't we just have one super attractive female companion in the game? Why did you have to make Morrigan ugly? And you covered her up more? Are you guys religious Puritans or something? You say there's full nudity, but why would anyone want to see ugly women companions naked?
Thick earth. You sad plastic thinker.
So I wasn't planning to go on any derailing tangents for individual comments, but oh boy, there's a lot to unpack with this lamentation. A lamentation that calls Morrigan ugly for basically looking the same but a little bit older and wearing different clothes and a different hairstyle. So it's always fascinating to me how these guys—
I'm certain you're leaving out context, so we're just gonna skip past that argument, and I'm gonna hit it with a get filtered to both you and him. Because why are you devolving any amount of time to dig into that? Aren't you supposed to be talking about the subject matter? About fake gamers and their DEI obsession? The guy wants to see some titties. The majority of most Dragon Age games have been horny as fuck. Get a man some titties. I don't see the problem here. Get to a point.
Equate sexiness entirely with nudity. Like, hey, I get it, I watch way too much porn as well, but I'm not so poisoned by it that I need to see someone naked to find them attractive. This is one of the most common controversies you see from these people, shrieking in unstimulated rage because a woman is wearing more clothes than she used to, and is thus puritanical. That is a self-report in and of itself. If you cannot distinguish beauty from nudity, that is absolutely a you problem. Like the comment admits, though, Veilguard will have nudity in it. Of course it will, it's a BioWare game, it's gonna have awkward sex scenes. So exactly how much skin do you need to see at all times before you're satisfied it wasn't made by Puritans?
I mean, if he wants to have a sex mod, that's an answer in and of itself. But you know, you're waffling about shit that I don't care about, but in the sake of full context and full accuracy, we'll let you keep waffling.
How much do you need? It's like I always say, corporations don't just want some nudity, they want all of the nudity. Wait, no, that's the wrong catchphrase. Remember how the fandom appropriators screamed puritanical censorship over Street Fighter 6's Cammy wearing pants and a jacket? Like, many of the real Street Fighter fans would agree that her updated look is actually hotter than the...
Safe horny.
Let's face it, unflatteringly dull green leotard, but it's hot aside from the flag-shagging back of the jacket.
Unflattering.
Would agree that her updated look is actually hotter than the, let's face it, unflatteringly dull green leotard.
Unflattering. Sus de la loca. This man just lied to you. Excuse me, this trans just lied to you. How about accept that they made it an alternate costume and cope? The video game difficulty of characters being able to have alternate skins, bro.
Leotard, but it's hot aside from the flag-shagging back of the jacket, of course, but when you're a member of the Reform Party, that's only more reason to pop a huge core boner. Also, it's fucking hilarious that Street Fighter 6 still had Cammy's leotard as an alternate costume, because it was never about making her less hot, it was about giving her a different kind of hot outfit to choose. By the way, if you think the leotard's sexy...
Considering that the second one was brought in after the game's launch and people were saying, why can't I use this costume? They added that in on the position of Capcom to please those people. So literally the people complaining that they couldn't have that outfit won because they got what they fucking asked for. That's what they're supposed to do. Are they not allowed to voice their opinion? Because it still sounds like you're telling them they're not allowed to voice their opinion, Jamantha. And to that, I have to tell you, fuck off. You are not the arbiter of what is fair and what is based. What is wrong with you? My God.
See, more power to you. I'm a leg gal. I understand. Another thing of note, most of us are left...
Let's play that again for humor.
Different kind of hot outfit to choose. By the way, if you think the leotard's sexy, more power to you. I'm a leg gal. I understand. Another thing of note, most of... Plus, lefty queeros actually don't mind sexy women with a predilection for the skimpy. Have you not seen the big queer following Bayonetta and Nier Automata have? We want.
But you guys also hate her because she's straight and she does not like flatch. You can't say that. You're sexualizing her. You're sexualizing her. You're fetishizing her. You're sexualizing and you're fetishizing her. You're not seeing her as a real person. You just want to see her as a sexy object that you can get off on. Yeah. This is a great argument, isn't it? It's completely meaningful and it is not based on serious levels of cope that you guys have done over the years of making this argument about everything else, huh? Yeah. Be consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent.
Yeah, that's right. Dat. Ayas. However, my taste isn't so utterly narrow that I need to see a cheeky hint of side boob to find someone hot. It'd be nice now and again, but it's not necessary. These whiny kids today clearly aren't old enough to remember how April O'Neil was a Saturday morning sex symbol. That jumpsuit.
If they are Zoomers, they don't know about this cartoon. Shut your old ass up!
So many pockets. So much utility.
I keep telling you, you're not my type.
Don't even get me started on gadget hack wrench. Actually, no, seriously, done. I've said way too much already. Comically woke
And here is the part of the video where the transgender user decides to waffle on about all of their cartoon crushes, and the African-American man listening to them slowly begins to go insane, to the sound of Star Fox 64's main menu on loop for 10 hours.
Rayla.
Guys, this is 2024. The woke as possible isn't just a meme. It feels dated. This isn't 2008, where it was funny to invent inept sexuality because a black was elected, and it was racist to say anything but praises. We're almost 20 years later. Ghostbusters 2016 was dead on arrival when the trailer came out. Almost 10 years after this, and you still finance this DEI farce. Because a black was elected. Because a black. Is this game woke? Woke mean no buy. All woke game equals bad, so is it woke? Someone pulls update DEI detect on this. That's not the first time I've seen someone post in these Steam forums for a game asking if it's woke. It is seriously the first thing some people want to know about a game, which is just
Weird as hell.
usually I want to know if a game's good. Like gory, cuddly.
That's what they're asking when they say, is the game good? They're asking if the game is woke. Does it put ideology over humor, fun, and enjoyment? And if it does, they want to know that. And that's what you guys are doing. You're doing that. That is what you are doing, dude. You are the problem. You are the virus.
Carnage. Oh yes, DEI detected is an actual thing. Because like I said, these fuckos claim to be completely apolitical, but their gaming decisions are based obsessively on their politics. Let's see what the fight.
I mean, if it's a list that is about whether or not the game is considered woke, and their standard is they don't want to be a part of it if it is woke, then that is a standard they're allowed to have. Because otherwise, you're telling me that they're not allowed to have opinions. And that is clearly what you're telling us. They're not allowed to have opinions. That is retarded. You are retarded. Take accountability for the actions that you're taking and accept that you are responsible for the things you say and do. If you will not be accountable to the things that you say and do, please understand that that's not my problem and that's not my fault, and you can't hold me to that account, and please cope with your problems. And stop victimizing the rest of us about it. Thank you. That is all. That is all you ever need to do. But that's not where you guys leave it. Now is it? Nah.
Fine folks at DEI detected have detected lately. Oh, they're angry at Concord. Because it has pronouns in small text at the top right-hand corner of the screen. That's a normal thing to be upset about, but I'm sure one day they'll be able to explain in a way that doesn't make them sound like massively bigoted top-spots who are mad LGBTQ plus people for simply existing in public. Oh, and they don't want to fuck any of the women. Of course. Too many clothes, I guess.
Right, clearly don't know what they're talking about. One of them stood there complaining that it's a technical nightmare. One of them was like, it's not dark and gritty enough. I'm sorry. You are wrong. The reason you are wrong is the first road that you see when you walk out of the first town in the first game. It's Imperial Highway. White, marble, rust. You know,
My husband is a big Dragon Age fan. The biggest one I know. They actually know what they're talking about.
Outside of the humor that already exists with you saying what you just said, you do understand that we don't like Cabertus and Grums! So why are you asking and saying this shit? Like it's something that we have stake on. We don't like them. We know that they're grifting. We criticize them for grifting. Please catch up. Please catch up. Please catch up.
To the inaccuracies in the complaints.
They're really pretty, gorgeous, curvy matches. And you know what? When we finally get to see the capital of the winter after waiting for so many games, like decades at this point, we get to see something that looks like it's in the middle of the place. It looks like World War II in there.
Woke DEI, woke DEI, woke DEI, like fucking parrots. I did like this one though. Furious that Morrigan has aged as she's gotten older because the aging process is woke now. Mortality is woke. Actually, I might have CIY on that one. I mean, I'm 40 and I got mad amounts of pipe from guys who could have sworn I was 26. Well, 2 amounts of pipe. The others pegged me at early 30s before they pegged me in. But yeah, they've driven that DEI thing into the ground at a record pace. I think I got tired of that one quicker than I did woke. I miss the cuck days. Remember that? When the ethics in games journalism hate mark were calling people cuck all day? God, Gamergate was deeply weird. Something I've said on this show years before calling right-wingers weird was even a meme. As horrible as it was to go through, it was a lot better than Gamergate 2 The Quickening. What we're seeing now is such a derivative sequel and devoid of such comic relief moments as this. I am a gamer, not because I have no life, but because I have many. Anyway, the point I want to make without getting derailed by my own nonsense this time is that I refuse to believe any of these self-styled fans of Dragon Age are actually all that familiar with BioWare games at all. Like, if you're still acting shocked and betrayed that BioWare put queer ref in its games, how long have you actually been playing BioWare games? Like, were any of you even alive when Mass Effect 3 made people pee their pants over the fact you could make 2 boys do a sexing on each other?
What are the first ones you see? The majority of the series, that's where they are. It looks like magic here in
It is a common tactic of the fandom appropriating Attack Pack to claim they're the long-term fans, the real fans, who have been betrayed for they aren't the target audience anymore. Darlings, if y'all are so mad about a BioWare game having gays in it that you've sworn off playing their games, you were never the target audience. And you should stop pretending you ever were, because this is what BioWare has done for years. But I can see the clap back to what I'm saying coming a mile away. Maybe they simply think BioWare has gone too far this time, and that's why they're mad now in 2024 current year argument. Yeah, that excuse might work if there wasn't a massive stink raised about gay romances in Mass Effect 3, or one very minor side character in Dragon Age Inquisition being trans. If BioWare has gone too far this time...
You say BioWare, but you do realize you have to say the entire Western games industry for the last 5 to 15 years. I'd say 5 to 15 because 5 to 15 is the actual scope you should be looking at. And you know that's the argument, which is why you're not telling them the true actual fucking argument, you fucking sitsblinker. The industry has used propaganda and politics as a replacement for good writing. And they are not amused. They find it boring. So when they ask if the game is woke, they're asking, is the game putting propaganda and politics over incentivization of fun? And many of you are saying yes. And then you have the audacity to say, not only, well, shut your bitch ass up because I don't want to hear it with my queer ears, but you then also have the audacity to try and browbeat them and not tell the full context because you want to make humor where you paint them as the problem. All because you got filtered. Bro, that's crazy. Bro, that's crazy. That's so crazy, bro. It's not a problem. Bro, that's crazy. That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
Why were you also mad at those tiny moments of inclusion? Why are optional pronouns in Starfield or a tiny they them in the corner of a character selection screen so offensive to you? Why did you...
Because the intention of the use of language is being done not for the decision and the desire of wanting to understand it, but to mandate it. You are mandating control from other people into an issue, and you are forcing them to be involved in a decision that they do not want to be involved in. And your inability to understand or your choice to not understand is seen as a deliberate choice to pretend that you get it, but it's just so hard. And it's not hard. It's not hard because you understand it intrinsically. You understand the argument, you understand the problem. You just don't give a shit. And that's okay. You are allowed to not give a shit. And people are allowed to not give a shit about you. They are allowed to ignore. They are allowed to mock. They are allowed to not take serious because you're not being serious people. You're not being serious people. Because you're not being serious people, I beg your belief.
You need to mod the pride flags out of Spider-Man. Did they hurt you or something?
Ask the Saudi Arabian government why they had to mod the flags out of it. Ask Insomniac why they put in a developer code, which is the actual code that was being used to turn it off inside the United States Emirates. United States, United Arab Emirates. Ask them. Ask them why they did that. Please. I beg you. Ask those that are pushing towards the religious caliphate. Ask them the reason why they didn't do that shit and say that shit with their chest. Please. Please. Please ask them.
Is that what they did? Did they hurt you? You poor little eggshell princelings. Remember when people got mad at a game called Virginia and they labeled it SJW propaganda before it even came out because they saw a black woman was the protagonist and they just assumed the rest? Then when it came out, it was just a very simple mystery story with nothing inherently social justicey. I saw them doing the exact same thing to a new game on Twitter formerly X.
Can you show me examples? 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 Put an example on the screen. Show me an example of a mainstream figure that does video game coverage. Show me them saying it. Quote them. Quote their words. Because you guys will never shut up about fucking pronouns. Oh my god. You keep overusing an example that was used as a part of a rant, that was done for humor by the way, to demonstrate the point, and you never show anything proving your point. Where is it? If you've got examples of people complaining about Veilguard, you certainly have examples of people complaining about this. Show me them. I want to see them. If you don't show them, you don't have an argument. You're just lying. Because if it was not a lie, why would you say it and you not show the examples? I want to laugh too. I want to laugh at the dumb people who have bad arguments that complain about nothing that's serious. Because we don't like them. Please, show us. Show me. I want to see it. I want to be on your side here. Convince me. Convince me.
I can't even remember the game, but they saw one woman of colour in a screenshot and they lost it, started screaming DEI. If even the tiniest amount of representation is too much representation for you, fuck you. Whether it's a tiny bit of inclusion in a game that was made for a wide audience, or inclusion in a game that legitimately wasn't made for you, but you...
The game's inclusion is not the problem with Concord, bro. The game is not fun, and the designs are not inspiring. They're not going to aspire an entire boom of Source Movie Maker based on how much they want to fuck those characters. Because the only thing holding up that series is the porn. You know, the thing that you were bragging about having watched a lot of. You remember, right? You remember that, right? You bragged about it. You bragged about the sexuality of wanting to be a leg man. Or excuse me, a leg girl. Perhaps we're coping. Perhaps you're coping.
You just couldn't tolerate its existence. Fuck you. The so-called shoehorned propaganda is the simple acknowledgement of a marginalized person's existence, and it always has been. They act like this regardless of the scale of the inclusivity. To claim otherwise is intellectual cowardice from someone who doesn't want to admit the obvious because they know it would make them sound completely unreasonable. So they say it's just bad design without explaining what is so bad about it because they can't. They say it's forced diversity because they think if they
The bad design of making ugly characters is that people will find them unappealing because people like characters that are aesthetically pleasing.
the word forced onto it, scale of the inclusivity. To claim otherwise is intellectual cowardice from someone who doesn't want to admit the obvious because they know it would make them sound completely unreasonable. So they say it's just bad design without explaining what is so bad about it because they can't. They say it's forced diversity because they think if they tack the word forced onto it, nobody can call them out on the fact they just said they hate diversity.
Something that is not diverse by the nature of just having diversity and existing is something that is going to be called forced diversity. If I go out of my way to try and get an entire cast and crew for a project based on the fact that they are of different races, and I never assess whether, while I'm looking for those people of different races, if they're actually good at the job that they're being cast for, I have forced a choice in my decision making that has curtailed for my creativity, and my work and my art will suffer for it. The same way a business, if it only ever wants to have an all-black staff, will be at the mercy because you are actively being hypocritically racist against those that could be able to be a good fit for the position because they themselves are able and want to be able to have involvement and investment and enjoyment with the thing that they want to use because they themselves get a benefit from doing so. Which is to say, if I go out of my way to put a black woman in a job position over a white woman because it's time, I cannot blame anyone but myself for what happens next. Especially if the work suffers for it. Because that is a choice. That's why it's forced.
Like, just say it. Just say you hate diversity. Don't hide behind the word forced like a little bitch. Just outright say you hate diversity. You hate looking at people who aren't white. You cannot tolerate queer people. It really wasn't that long ago that the alt-right content mill got weeks of outrage over a literal split second of gay visibility in that Buzz Lightyear film. We know by now how low your bar for defining propaganda is. Propaganda, by your reckoning, is being reminded of the existence of people who are not you. That is your bar. Just say it. You wouldn't be stalking the internet hunting for inclusive games to attack like the pitchfork-wielding Yarnamites you are otherwise. Oh, Yarnam is the setting for Bloodborne, which is a video game, by the way. Some of you fake gamers won't know that.
Well, again, that is a fair point. I'm not being unreasonable here. Only two companions at a time. Fair point.
Hey, they wouldn't know what Yarnam is. They're not real gamers. They've never played Bloodborne. I am very smart. I am Jim Sterling. I believe that Samantha Sterling. That's your dead name. I am Samantha Sterling. I am very smart. They are very dumb. Heart, 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 heart. What a fucking asshole. Heart, 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 heart. Fucking kill me, please. I'm begging you, put me on my goddamn misery.
Point. Not being unreasonable here. I like more things to be a control freak about.
This past week, the Monster Hunter community successfully drove the status quo warriors out of, well, their community. One of the most prolific ringleaders of the
Please say his name.
anti-woke mob, whose name I don't care to say because it's unearned attention, so I'm just gonna...
So, you're going to put Carlitos Rambo in his sight on screen, thus giving him attention, but you're not going to say Mark Kern, who was ran off specifically because he was grifting and knew nothing about the fucking Monster Hunter series, over the thing that nobody really gives that much of a shit about, that you all tried to use as an argument of, oh my god, bro, it's so peak, being the fact that we have the ability to no longer be constrained by gender armor in Monster Hunter. That's what it's going to start from, chat. That's what Samantha's not telling you. Grums tried to grift onto Monster Hunter Wilds over the change that is a dumb change that doesn't matter. Because, bro, what I care about having my male character wear female armor or my female character wear male armor? How easy is it to farm the equipment I need? Do I need to farm multiple pieces? That's the shit that we actually care about. This shit, we don't care about that. But you know, that's what they consider to be important. That's what they think is best. Meanwhile, I just want to play the game, bro. But you know, wanting to play the game and understand if the mechanics are solid, no, that's being a chud. Fucking garbage.
Call him Grunzel Bumpsworth, has been manufacturing outrage like it's going out of style, seeming to find a new game to yell woke at every other day. The aforementioned "We're the Betrayed True Fans" routine was met with firm resistance from the actual Monster Hunter fans, who disowned and laughed at the fake controversy. It was also pointed out just how little Grunzel Bumpsworth knew about Monster Hunter, as he got basic facts and characters so wrong, he had to delete his post complaining about it. These fake gamer tourists, these cuckoos, don't actually know what they're talking about. It's why they end up behaving like clowns. Unfortunately, clowns can be quite frightening.
Clowns can look rather intimidating if you see a lot of them in one place.
And here's the scary part with these bozos. They don't care. It's not just that they don't care about the games they're pretending betrayed them. No, they don't care how dumb they look doing so, how blatantly obvious they're
This is at least something in which we can agree on. No, they do not care. And they should be mocked when they try to grift like this. It is what should happen. But unfortunately, you guys cannot be on the same page. Because it's very hard for you to be on the same page. But you know, it's not your fault.
Contempt for progress is, because the contempt is the point. It's a conclusion that hit me when, for the umpteenth time, I was called a pervert who enjoys beating up defenseless girls against whom I have a biological advantage. Gender-critical losers have been throwing that shit at me ever since I won my first women's wrestling championship. A professional wrestling championship. Professional wrestling. They routinely claim I have a biological advantage and I'm beating up defenseless women in professional wrestling. You get how fucking stupid that sounds, right?
No!
The thing. They have to know what...
They don't get what that means. Because what is the context of you mentioning this? We don't care! The context, chat, is that they're saying that they're beating up people in a sport that is more or less fake. And therefore, they are ridiculous because they're being dumb. But the context here would be, okay, so we ignore them, because what does this have to do with anything? You're trying to mold about Carutus, Rambo, and Grums, and you can't even properly say their names so you can be able to address the argument you need to. Do you not see the problem? Do you not understand how that's an issue? How are people going to unify with you on this issue if you can't say their names? You have to say their names. You have to describe the boogeyman.
Pro wrestling is, they can't not know. And they have got to understand that a performance art in which zombie bikers fight demonic pyromancers isn't like the regular sports they try to exclude trans women from. But they do it anyway. They say a pointless thing that makes them look incredibly stupid. Why? It is because having an actual point is not the point. The point is the exclusion. The point is to show contempt. And they are so full of that contempt, that venom, that seething hatred. They honestly don't care how much they have to humiliate themselves to express it. Some of them might not even know what it is I do. They just know I'm trans. They saw I was involved in a women's thing and then just went, oh man, biological, blah. Just repeating their handful of stock phrases like a talking doll with its string pulled. Because it ultimately doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what wrestling is to them. They just get off on typing biological male 50 times a day. The cruelty is the point, as is often said of the Republicans, who ultimately benefit from the culture wars they've stoked. So it is that the pack hunters pretend they're gamers. They pretend they're an abandoned target audience, and they sound whiny, and they get shit wrong, and they make themselves look like ignorant, reactionary crybabies, and it doesn't matter if they're laughed at in the process. What matters is that they keep reminding people like me that being alive is offensive to them. Funny as their dumbassery is, and it can be very funny, one can't lose sight of the fact that what they're ultimately arguing for, while never having the spine to say it out loud, is our complete disappearance. What they want is what that one showed said Dragon Age Veilguard was doing to him.
Oh my fucking god, bro. Oh my god. No, they don't. We don't think about people who act like this in general. You keep insisting that they do, and that we do, and that people who think about this or have talked about this ever once do, and they don't. You're not that important. You're not that important. You're not that important. And you have to accept that. It's not about you, bro. Yes, the results are fake. The actual physicality and acrobatics are not. I apologize, I said that wrong. Jamantha, you're mauling and seething over shit. And you're acting like you have an argument. The games look horrible. And people who want to play good games want them to not be horrible. They want to know that they can be able to turn a blind eye to a couple of things so they can get a good product. Nothing else matters. But you make it sound like this shit matters more than it does, and it certainly doesn't. What's worse is that you say people are putting words in your mouth. I've actually had someone It is 3 p.m. I've actually had someone try to put words in my mouth that I don't say and don't believe about video games because they don't know my arguments. And instead of asking me those questions and debating me on them, you know, where they would have the ability to have that fence or two, they instead try to clip shit. And when I address them by actually showing the resources and the context that they try to cut out of my opinions, they ran the fuck away. You are doing worse than that. You're making hit pieces about people that you're not even confident to say the name of, but you'll use them to soak a fire. By the way, you're complaining about them soaking a fire. They created their trust in the consumer. They created their trust. They lost the consumer. And you're blaming the consumer for calling out the shit that you will not address, while being hypocritical and saying rules for thee and not for me. Again, you gotta go somewhere.
They want our erasure. Great, now I've got stuck in the head. So thanks a lot for that, the discourse. Now look, I am aware that a lot of anti-woke people do actually play some games. They do actually play, you know, a number of games, at least the ones they've narrowed down to being not woke enough for them to tolerate. The thing is, though, I think we should still call them fake gamers, because not only are they indistinguishable, they're quite happy being puppeteered by the...
Fucking... oh my god. Okay. That is the news, that is the discourse. And my legs are still fucking acting up in pain again, so I'm gonna probably need to go offline immediately to try to remedy this problem with pills. Ugh. Ow. I love Charlie horse cramps. This is so fun. I really honestly need to have a higher bed. Anyways, GG, no re, easy. I will see you all next time. Ouch. And, like I said that I was going to do last week, I'm going to start clipping these sections and start fleshing them out for people to be able to watch on single segments. Look forward to that being done around about the middle of the week, depending on how quickly I can get them out. Some of these might actually wait until Sunday, or when I have the ability to focus on them, but they will start getting clipped into single segment videos on the channel. Because since I choose to use Twitter, unless I re-up for Restream, which is based on money, I'm going to continue using only YouTube and Twitter for the new segments so that we can put it onto the timeline. Ow. 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 So, look forward to that. That's specifically for the people who are not able to watch it live and would like to know about the topics. Also, it'll probably get my arguments out there better. Anyways, I'm leaving. Goodbye, chat. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Pray for my knees. Pray for my little achy, breaky knees. Oh, fuck.